Bonjour, bienvenue. Aujourd'hui, c'est le jeudi 29 avril. Donc, voici les objectifs. Et aujourd'hui, on va vraiment travailler les verbes ER. On va réviser ça un petit peu. On va commencer avec l'échauffement. Puis, on va voir l'activité dans la cuisine, dans la salle de bain. Bienvenue chez moi. Je vais vous parler un peu de cette activité que vous allez faire pour la semaine prochaine. Et puis, une révision des verbes ER. Donc, quel temps fait-il aujourd'hui? Il fait quel temps aujourd'hui? OK. Donc, quelles sont des activités que nous pouvons faire? Donc, oui, on peut faire. Quelles sont des activités que nous ne pouvons pas faire? OK? Avec les nuages. Il y a des nuages aujourd'hui. Bon, ça va. OK, donc dans la salle de bain, il y a. Dans la cuisine, il y a. Donc, je vous ai demandé de compléter cette activité hier soir. Donc, mettez s'il vous plaît les réponses dans le chat. Et puis, on va voir les réponses ensemble. OK, ouais. Donc, oui, très bien. Donc, un lavabo. Ça, c'est un lavabo. Et nous allons en parler tout à l'heure. OK, donc, mais ça, c'est un lavabo dans une salle de bain. Donc, dans une salle de bain, il y a un lavabo. Il y a un rideau avec la douche. Donc, la douche, le rideau, un miroir. Donc, voilà une douche. Il y a une fenêtre, une toilette, un baignoire, OK, et une porte. Donc, un baignoire, c'est gros, et une douche, c'est petit, OK? Donc, on a une douche, et puis on a une baignoire, OK? Et puis ici, on a un évier. Quelle est la différence entre un évier et un lavabo? C'est un peu bizarre. Quelle est la différence entre un lavabo ici et un évier ici?
Lavabo is specifically a bathroom sink.
Oui, très bien. Donc, un réfrigérateur, un frigo, c'est un tabouret. Donc, ça, c'était peut-être un peu difficile. Un tabouret, c'est comme une chaise, mais il n'y a pas de dos. OK? C'est comme une chaise, mais pas de dos. OK? Une poubelle. Donc, voilà la poubelle. Donc, peut-être vous avez à la maison, peut-être vos parents disent « sortez la poubelle ». OK? Une machine à laver et un four. OK? Donc, ça, c'est un four. Hop. Voilà. Donc, ça, c'est un four. Ça, c'est une machine à laver. Okay, so yeah, so I would love for y'all to just have these with you in your packet so that you have the answers so that you know, okay, what's what. Not so that you memorize everything, but so that you have that vocabulary there if you need it. Because it might come in handy for Bienvenue chez moi. All right, so once again, this is the activity that I'm asking y'all to do. And we're going to work on it a little bit today and tomorrow. And maybe I'll have you turn it in Monday. It depends on how we do today and tomorrow. Whoa, thank you so much for looking that up. We were talking about France and different cultural norms in energy and stuff and appliances. It sounds like France, somebody looked it up. Thank you so much. And they get 70% of their energy from nuclear energy. 70%, that's quite a bit, right? Yeah, and that's worth talking about. I look forward to having a discussion with y'all about that. The pros and cons, right? Okay, so again, we'll be working on this today and tomorrow. And so we'll see if we can get it turned in on Monday, but maybe it'll be Tuesday, we'll see. But you're gonna be submitting a recording, so a voice recording. And I don't think we'll do it today, but tomorrow I'd like to take some time practicing voice recordings with your iPad, right? Okay, and a successful recording includes a general description of the room. Okay, so that's an adjective. So what are some adjectives you might use to describe a room? In English. Just to get a big, small, the color, How much light is in there? We worked with that a little bit. Yeah. 5 or more objects in the room. So that's generally going to be pieces of furniture like we looked at with the kitchen and the bathroom just now. 2 or more activities you do in the room, and then where things are in the room. Ok, donc tu as choisi quelle pièce? Donc dans le chat, dites-moi, qu'est-ce que vous avez choisi comme pièce? Ta chambre, le salon, le sous-sol? Qu'est-ce que tu as choisi? Okay, so let's take a look at the rubric. I'm going to go into the rubric. So here up on Canvas, boop, boop, boop. On Canvas, there's a link to a rubric that I'm going to show y'all right now. We're going to take a look at it real quick, okay? Because I want it to be really, really clear what I'm asking for. Most people decided to go with their bedroom, which is great. And then we'll talk about this in a moment. We'll focus on activities in a moment, all right? So this is a checklist that if you want to, you can take a screen cap to help you stay on track, to help you organize yourself. So let's take a moment and look at the rubric. Okay, so again, in Canvas, I've given you a link to this rubric as a PDF, all right? So you can look at this more closely. And so in this rubric, you've got a few good things. So the name of the assignment, the info, you've got this checklist, which I would really encourage you to use in a way that makes sense to you. And then you've got kind of what you're doing, right? What you're able to do. And then when we get into the rubric, there's all different levels, okay? So there's a grade out of 5 for each category. So there are different categories. And then there are different levels. So meets expectations, that means that you're able to do the thing. You can do the thing. So if this is about 90%-ish, a little around 90%, meets expectations. If that's what you want to do, that's great. So you can just focus on this. The rubrics can be really great because they tell you exactly what I'm looking for or what your teacher is looking for in other classes, but they can be a little overwhelming because there's a lot of words. What I want to encourage you to do is to pick one. Maybe you want to pick this one. Maybe you want to pick maybe you want to go for 100% and really go above and beyond. You can pick this one and just focus on that column. Okay, you don't have to focus on all of them. All right. So meets expectations. You did the checklist. If you are going for 100%, that means that you did all the things and you elaborated, right? So you gave maybe 3 activities, 4 activities, maybe where 4 things are in the room, right? Et cetera, right? So you just went a little bit beyond. Maybe you gave a few adjectives to describe the room, right? So that would be 100. And if we go on the next page, okay, this is just 2 pages. So then we have a different category. This is worth 13. This is worth 12. So 13 plus 12 plus 5. So 30 total. Okay. So again, meets expectations. This is kind of, you can do the thing, right? So communication. So you're submitting a voice recording. So you're talking about, oh, these are the things I do here. I give some simple details. I give simple sentences, and I'll give you some examples of those. It was pretty organized, and you gave some emotions, right? Sometimes when you're reading, it can sound kind of like when I'm reading a text, it sounds like this, and this is this, and this is this, and there's not a lot of rhythm, right? When you're speaking a foreign language, it becomes so much more important to give that kind of rhythm, to exaggerate a little bit, right? To help convey, to help communicate. It's not just to make your teacher happy, right? It's literally communication. It's literally part of communication, like trying to really use your emotions to communicate, okay? And then for comprehensibility, so you use the vocabulary and you showed some control of prepositions. So you were able to talk about this is under this, or this is next to this, right? And you were mostly understandable, right? The expectation is not that you speak perfect French. If you are in French 2 and you spoke French perfectly, I would be out of a job. I'd be really sad, right? So the idea is not to be perfect, but that you are understood, okay? that you're understood. Yeah. So that's the rubric. And this is a more detailed rubric than the one that we have on Canvas. And there's a link to the one in Canvas. So in Canvas, you can, boop, boop, boop. In Canvas, if you go, boop, boop, boop. If you go to this assignment, this is a link to the document we just looked at, to the rubric. All right. All right, I'm really glad we took a moment to look through the rubric and to kind of strategize a little bit about what does a simple sentence look like? What does a complex sentence look like? And once more, I'm just saying this for the recording, once more, my goal is not to push you, to make you feel really stressed out about all this and spend a ton of time working on your language. I just want us generally to kind of be mindful of, as you move through French 2 into French 3, you're gonna get closer and closer to expressing yourself like you would in your first language. And that's kind of my goal. I feel like that's one of my main jobs, help you express yourself as you want to express yourself. Ok, ouais, donc chez moi. Hop. Donc beaucoup de gens ont choisi la chambre. Ok. Parlons des activités que nous faisons dans la chambre. Okay. And to talk about activities, we're going to have to talk about verbs. Okay. What are some ER verbs that you know? Quels sont des verbes ER? Oui, donc voici des verbes ER que tu connais. Okay. Voyager, parler, porter, travailler, écouter, manger, jouer, travailler. Okay. And so for ER verbs, it's a really common construction. Okay, it's really straightforward. So je porte, tu portes. Elle porte, nous portons, vous portez, elle porte. So oftentimes in French, you're going to have what's called the stem. So the part of the verb that you just put everywhere. And then you're going to have the endings, right? So the endings over here are just an E, except for tu. You're going to add an S. The endings over here are going to be ONS, easy, ENT. Elles partent, ils partent. Okay. Hopefully that's kind of familiar. La chambre. Ok, donc demain, nous allons voir ça. Quelles sont deux activités que tu aimes faire dans ta chambre? Quelle est une activité que tu n'aimes pas faire dans ta chambre? Et nous allons faire une activité de Jamboard. Okay? We'll do a little bit of GameKit to look at the ER verbs. We'll review that a little bit differently tomorrow. And then we'll think about what are some activities you like to do in your room. All right. Okay. So I will stick around if there are questions. Otherwise, I will say au revoir. À demain.